All right, let's talk about nutrition and extras, specifically Xtri Himalaya, which I'll be doing the planning for, which is in May. I did it in 2023, so I do have a little bit of experience on this one. But nutrition, on the longer the race, becomes more crucial and more bound to the result than the shorter races. So first of all, nutrition is very independent. It does depend on your metabolics and at aerobic intensity, anaerobic intensity, how much carbohydrates your body uses, or glycogen, or how much fat or ketones it actually uses to provide at those various intensities. It depends on how much wattage you actually push out on the race, so that is bound by speed, your weight, and obviously the higher intensity or the higher wattage, the more demands you have. The key thing is the longer races is you got to get your intake more or less right. In other words, you need to be intuitive, but certainly don't go by numbers and saying, this is how much per hour I need to have in terms of calories based on theory. You really need to work it out in terms of practice and in training, doing extended efforts at race intensity in race conditions to try and work out what the right intake is. If your intake is too low, essentially you're gonna run out of puff, run out of energy. However, when you are too low, you can recover. You can take on board more calories, and literally in minutes you can get going again. The reverse is, you practice your nutrition at low intensities for a certain amount of time, and you feel, yes, you can absorb that many calories. The difference is as it builds up during the day across, if you are coping with it, a certain amount of nutrition for 4 hours doesn't mean you're going to cope for it for the 16-20 hours of an ultra distance race, whether it be running, cycling, and or triathlon. So knowledge of and practice with nutrition is important. And I always recommend going slightly, if you're in doubt as to what the right nutrition is, slightly under is actually better than over, as you can recover a lot quicker slightly under, and you tend to start getting the signals of under, particularly in the long races. So my plan, I know that's going to be 20-hour plus race. It's an hour in the water, somewhere between 3 and 3.8, depending on what they do in the day in terms of as a swim. The bike is 4,500 meters of elevation over 160 kilometers, so that's probably going to be 7.5 to 8 hour ride. Lots of hills, lots of effort, and then the run, the winners do it in 10 hours. The run, I think the last time I went I was 12 hours, but I didn't quite do the full course, the low camp. So it's a long day, 20 to 22 hours. So you've got to be able to keep absorbing calories for the entire duration of that. So balancing it is correct. So my plan is my foundation is TrailBrew, very similar to Tailwind in terms of product. It's an electrolyte / carbohydrate drink, mix it with water. The difference between TrailBrew and Tailwind, TrailBrew is locally produced in Australia. It has the thing I like about it has a lower sodium content than Tailwind, so it gives me control as to how much sodium I take. A hot day, or when you're sweating a lot, you're losing a lot of sodium, I can top up with salt tablets or alternatives to get more sodium. If it's a cold day, and it will be cold in the mountains, you're not sweating, so you're not losing a lot of sodium. Your fluid, your hydration loss tends to be through the lungs. You don't use a lot of sodium that way. I can actually reduce it by just sticking to the product. So all day, 20 hours, I'll be sipping on this stuff, drip feeding into my system. As it's a long day, I will be aerobic for pretty much most of the day, with some steep hill climb exceptions. So I'll be burning mostly fat. So I'll probably be having 40, maybe 50 grams an hour of carbohydrates. So drip feeding through my water, through my waters is really the plan for that. So that'll be the foundation, but that's not going to be enough for that type of race. So other things I'll have available to me is in my support car. You'll be have a couple of clif bars. Always nice to get a bit of granularity in your stomach when you're sipping on fluids all day. Maybe some boiled potatoes with some paprika and salt, and butter and Ziploc bags. Again, it's another way of having a different carbohydrate. Some solids coming into the stomach. I'll also have some salty chips or crisps as they're called, to get some salt and granularity in the support car. Third, the other option for highly stressful. So if I start feeling the stress, gets really hot, climbing the mountain becomes my stress levels really rise. The body's tendency will be to go towards glycogen. Then I generally ask for bottles of half Coke, half water with a salt tablet in to sip on, and that just gives me that straight through sugar that goes straight in the mouth, pretty much straight into the bloodstream, to assist with that glycogen for that period of time. So it's TrailBrew Foundation, a couple of Clif Bars as an option, potatoes, new potatoes, the small ones, boiled with some paprika, Coke being available, may use it, may not, and salty crisps if I start feeling I need more salt, and I stick with the salt tablets. That's it for the bike. It'll get me through. On the run, slightly different. On the run, I like to have a bit of protein coming through, so I'll carry some jerky or biltong, just so I can actually chew on that during the run. Or a lot of this is going to be walking because it's really steep mountains. TrailBrew will still be the foundation. I'll be sipping away. At some point, I'll get sick of TrailBrew. At the aid stations, the tea houses, probably get some half cups of Coke filled up with water. Later on, when it starts getting towards night time and really cooling off, possibly grabbing some soup at the aid stations, which they have, and potential to carry some lollies, and that'll be about it for it. The main thing here is everything here I'm testing on trail running. I'm consuming every one of these products at the right time. At cold, I'm having a flask of soup with me, just to make sure that there's nothing in here that upsets. The other thing I do in all of this while I'm racing is use intuition in terms of food. I have a plan of what I may need across the day. I do not have a solid plan as to exactly how many calories I'm going to have, or the actual profile of whether it be solids, glycogen, fats, protein, but feel on that. The key is in terms of intuition. If I'm having, for instance, TrailBrew, which is a carbohydrate drink, and it starts tasting really sweet, then I know I've probably got enough carbohydrates in this, so I'll switch to less mixer, dilute it a little bit more, or even drink straight water for a while. Because the sweetness is telling me I've got enough carbohydrates, enough fructose, glucose, I've got enough sugar in my body. Likewise, if I take a salt tablet and it tastes really salty, or if I have some crisps and it tastes really salty, then I know I've probably got enough sodium in my body. And I'll actually use those signals to actually tune exactly what I'm having in terms of food as I travel. in terms of hydration and how much I'm drinking, I really go again by thirst. Last time I did extra on the bike, it got up to around lunchtime up to 42 degrees on the bike. Yes, it's a dry heat. Yes, you do sweat, so you do cool down, but you're still it's really hot. You're losing a lot of water, and you need to drink a lot. Then you run up the mountain, and it gets right down to sub 10 very quickly as you scale the heights up to 3,500 meters. It starts getting cold, and so really you can't go by volume on water. Say I want to have so much water per hour. You really got to go by thirst and how you're feeling. I know for me, if I get cramp, it's one of because I do the training, so my muscles are normally well conditioned for the effort I'm putting in. So if I get cramp, it's one of two things: I'm either low in sodium or dehydrated. And I'll work out very quickly which one of those it is. Normally, what I'll do if I get cramp, I'll have straight away up my intake of water, and I'll throw in a little bit of extra sodium, unless it really tastes salty when I actually add that sodium. Then I'll just be drinking water to actually recover from any sort of cramp I get. Cramps for other people maybe there may be other reasons. It could be conditioning, not having done the right training for the muscle recruitment, you get cramp, but quite possibly it's one of the other two. It's nutritional and electrolytes. The other one on cramp could be magnesium, potassium, other electrolyte running low. Generally we don't lose that while we're exercising, so I'd be saying if it's not sodium and it's not dehydration, have a look at your everyday diet, because magnesium and potassium leave the body slowly. So if there's a problem with that, it's probably because you're not getting enough in your everyday diet. So that's my plan for race day. I did do most of this on my last extra, and probably a very similar plan, although it was a shorter race and slightly less climbing on the run. Used a very similar plan in Norway, and no issues on either of those races around nutrition. Everything worked perfectly. A couple of times I needed to adjust, but that's expected. But I had all the things that were required to get me through those races. So key highlights is have a foundation, test it well on terms of your carbohydrates and electrolytes. Then have tested options. Have a loose plan around your nutrition, but you've got to be prepared to adjust that as you go through the race, depending on the conditions, how the day plays out, and how your body reacts to all the nutrition. Just that basic plan, but flexibility is key important. I see so many people race and they try to stick to an exact nutritionist or dietitian's plan, you cannot predict what conditions you're going to hit on the day and how the day is going to plan out. Exactly, calorie usage, developing intuition is absolute key. Any questions, post in the comments below. More than happy to answer any questions. Just remember, what I've spoken about is about ultra racing, short races, sprint races, even marathon below. The nutrition plan would be totally different. And thanks for listening.